How Loki was punished. Hello, this is Elizabeth, and this legend of the Norse gods is told by one of the characters himself. Please allow me to introduce myself. You will have heard already of some of my crimes. I confess that I'm proud of them, despite what others say. It was I who cut off the golden hair of Sif, the goddess of corn, and I was the one who stole Freya's necklace. Eden, with her golden apples of immortality, was kidnapped by none other than me. And didn't I sting Brock and do everything I could to spoil Thor's thunder-clapping hammer? Yes, if you do not recognise my face, as charred as a burnt-out tree, and my eyes, which dance like flames, you will know me by my deeds. I am Loki, god of fire, mischief, and all those things that are naughty but fun. Some, I am afraid, say that I'm bad. Look you, my life was never easy. I always had a bit of an identity crisis, and I still don't know whether I'm the son of Odin or his brother. Am I a god or am I a giant? And if I'm half and half of these two groups, bound to war throughout the ages, where does that leave me? Being the god of fire, it didn't help me either. Everyone knows that sometimes fire warms you up, and other times it burns down your house and fields and forest and everything else. Okay, I did bad, destructive things, but if Odin was so wonderful, where was his mercy and forgiveness? Or was it because he was so totally lacking in those qualities that our glory faded with time and men turned elsewhere? I mean, who worships the Norse gods these days? Very few. This story is about one of my disasters. Look, I'm the god of fire, aren't I? So is it my fault if I'm hot-tempered? It all happened at a Geir's feast. He was the god of the sea, and being the god of fire, I'm always a bit jumpy in the water. No one else was happy either, so you can imagine what sort of feast it was. Though the tone lightened as the servants passed their great horns of mead round the table, and the gods drank more and more. But somehow they missed me out. "Wonderful servants, Aegir," said one of the gods. "They see to everything and everyone. Nothing is left undone." Hang on a minute. They missed me out, didn't they? I was so angry, I tell you. I leapt up and clobbered one of those blasted servants. He fell backwards onto the stone flags and lay stiff. There was a terrible silence, I remember. It turns out the stones had killed him. Everyone turned and looked at me. "Out! Out!" they cried. "Outcast! Cast him out!" I got up and left the hall, but not for long. It was too wet for me in the rain, see? Another servant was outside the hall, and I asked him what they were talking about. "Oh, they're all having a lovely time," said the servant, looking at me. "But they've nothing good to say about you." Incensed, I strode back into the hall and faced the silence. "I am cold and wet. I have a thirst also. Who will give me to drink? Who will pass the horn to me?" No one spoke. "I've come to take my place." "Why are you all so quiet?" "Oh, you outcast me, is it? Do you turn me away?" And then at last a voice boomed. "You will never more have a place among the gods. You must leave." That was Odin, the god who was probably my own father. Well, if that's how it was, I did have something to say. A curse upon you. Not a weedy human curse, but a curse from one of your own, a curse from a god to the gods. You find fault with me, but I, Loki, will never forget the faults that are yours. You, Odin, are a bit short on mercy and forgiveness, aren't you? Yours is a hard wisdom, isn't it? And you, Eden, did you not leave Asgard of your own will, even if I did sweet-talk you all the way out of the gates? You have always been stupid. All you can do is hold a basket. And so I carried on till I got to Thor, god of thunder and war. Are you not puffed up with pride? I said. But where would you be without your hammer? And I don't regret cutting the hair of that silly wife of yours. I think it suited her anyway. I agree, it might have been better to leave Thor out of this. But as I said, I am a bit hot-tempered. Impulsive, shall we call it. There was a grumble and a rumble, and a few thunderbolts which Thor liked to throw for fun, and then a flash of lightning. Thor stood in front of me, towering with rage, and swinging his hammer about. It really was time to go. "Curse the lot of you!" I cried. "May you and yours be consumed in the endless fire, both now and at the end of days." I will admit that I did take things a little bit far with these insults and curses. Anyway, I left, and wandered lonely over the earth, looking for somewhere safe to hide. The gods were sure to search me out and exact vengeance. I settled in a deep valley, with a river hidden in the mountains, and I built a house with windows in every wall, so I could always see if anyone was coming. Not that I relied on the windows alone. Oh, don't forget, I often changed my shape. Because I was afraid of the water, I turned myself into a salmon to get used to it. What terrific swims and jumps I had in that mountain river. I'd always liked fish. Slippery as a fish, isn't that what they say? After a while, I relaxed. My hiding place was safe. No one came looking. When I was not a salmon, but in my true form, I started weaving. Not cloth, but fishing nets. They were new, because I'd invented them. But they did take a long time to make. I had plenty of time, though. One day, Odin looked down on the world and saw someone busy making nets. Quickly, he called Thor and Kvasir, who was quite a bit sharper than that thick thunder god, and sent them down to the valley where I was hiding. I was so busy making my net, I forgot to look out the window. I heard the cracking of branches. They were nearly upon me. I flung the half-woven net onto the fire, and salmon jumped into the river. The three gods went into my house and looked around. Kvasir found the charred remains of my net. "I know what it is. It's a fishing net. Loki was always a brilliant fisherman, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's turned into a fish and leapt into the river. Let's finish the net and fish for him." It didn't take the three of them long to finish the net. Then they walked softly to the river and dragged it slowly from bank to bank. I sank to the bottom and lay between two rocks, so the net passed over me. Then the gods tied a heavy stone to the net, so that it could not miss me. But I jumped over it and rushed headlong down a waterfall. The gods moved downstream and tried once more. I jumped again. Thor was watching, and seized me as I jumped. I was slipping out of his grasp, but he gripped my tail tight. Oh, I wriggled, but he held me fast. I could do nothing, and was changed back into my true shape. They dragged me to a cave nearby. They bored holes in 3 great rocks, and bound me to the stones with iron fetters. My punishment was to stay there for all time. But even that was not enough. They hung a serpent over me to drop poison onto my face. I cannot tell you how painful this was. No words can describe it. Thank goodness I had a good wife, Seacon, though I was not a good husband. She heard my screams echoing in the wind, and came to try to help me. She caught the poison in a cup, but when it was full and she tried to empty it, the drops of poison by magic fell back onto me. I could not escape them, try though I did. I even tried to set myself free. I strained the iron on my flesh and pulled so hard that the earth trembled and quaked. But it was no good. I could not slip free, and that was that. I, Loki, received my punishment until the end of the world. Then I will become pure fire, consume my chains, and fight against the gods with my flame of destruction. The last laugh will be mine. And that was How Loki Was Punished, adapted for storynori.com by Charlotte Sebag-Montefiore. For now, from me, Elizabeth, goodbye.